Hello guys, this is your friend What If Naruto, and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto Punished Devils by Having a Harem in Bed Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. In the battlefield where the war just finished, never-ending cheers were heard echoing loudly in the whole vicinity. Most people in the battlefield lost their loved ones, their comrades, their friends, yet they were not able to stop their voices from cheering. They screamed out in the very sky for the war that they have won. They never stopped on their celebration. They despaired, they've lost hope, most of them have lost everything, yet they can't help to smile, to laugh in happiness, in relief for having fought a losing war and winning over it. They would commemorate this very moment as the moment where they have won a losing war. Except for a person who spoke amidst the loud and boisterous cheers, he was unconcerned of what had just transpired. He didn't care at what happened. He didn't care if they lost their loved ones, their comrades, their friends. He was unmoved, even after everything has happened. Of course he was relieved, since he was also fighting in the losing war. So after winning it, of course he was also in a state of comfort and relief. But it didn't change his state of mind. He was still the very same person who just wanted to gain his own freedom, the person who wanted to be free from the shackles of fighting, the very binds of the accursed hatred and the bonds of friendship and family. He wished for a future where he would live and start his life away from his past. His voice was clear and emotionless. It was heard in nothing but a monotone voice. Now that this is over, I'm leaving. Despite the thunderous cheering in the whole field, the people who were with him heard him loud and clear. Even if the voice was emotionless, even if it was spoken in monotone, they could feel the firm conviction on the voice. The person who spoke observed every single person who heard him, his father, his mother, his sister, his rival best friend and brother in all but blood, his teacher, his godfather, and his godmother, all of them. Why? His mother cried out in shock. It seems that they thought that he would just leave everything that has happened to him in the past behind. I thought you already forgave us, she stated. The tears were clearly evident as they were starting to appear on her eyes. Yes, I did, he spoke once again, not caring in the cold look he was giving them. They were looking at him and all they could see in his eyes was nothing but a broken look. It was the eyes of someone who suffered in all of his life. It was the look of someone ruined in his whole life. Then, why? His sister asked him. There was anxiety on her voice. She was looking at him straightly, a pleading look was bearing on her face. She wanted to know his reasons. Why does he have to leave? Why couldn't he put everything that has happened to him behind? And why doesn't he want a future with his family? Isn't it obvious? I want to have a future, he stated as he looked upwards while making a grabbing motion towards the air as he closed his eyes. Yes, that's all that he wants. A future where he won't be tied to anyone, he won't care about the past, he won't look at them and he won't be with them. What he wanted was freedom. To be freed from his past where all he had was nothing but suffering and pain. He would start anew. Then, why did you fight with us in the war? I can understand your best friend Sasuke since he wants to be the Hokage, even if he was a missing nin like you. Why did you fight with us in the war then? Isn't it because you want to have a future? His father asked. They really did care about him despite the misgivings they have given to him in the past. He wanted for his son to forgive them so that they would become a whole family again. He would rebuild the bridge that was supposed to be connecting them to him. Every people who were with him were looking at him, waiting for his answer. Even though they fought with him in the war, most of them were still wary of him. He is Naruto Namikaze, an S-rank missing nin after all. He's a master sage, a taijutsu fighter, but most of all, he had the ability to fight with nothing but seals. He is a fuinjutsu specialist, a master, a genius or whatever you would like to call him with. He is in a league of all his own, and that's all because of his seals. Even his mother and father, Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze, who were renowned for their skills on fuinjutsu, were nothing against him. His parents would be like a large bottle of water while he would be a water jug. That means he is really on a league of his own. He was even able to decipher his father's signature move less than 3 days, when his father took a long time to recreate the whole technique. But at that time, he declared that he didn't want to use that technique since it wasn't his. So, even if they fought with him in the duration of the war, he is still a dangerous person. The answer he gave them wasn't what they had expected. They expected him to say something like, Madara is my enemy, or, I want a future where I am not enslaved, or even, I want to save my family, friends, or comrades, and even something noble like, I want to save the world. But he said something that none of them was waiting for. Naruto spoke of nothing but one word. Obligation. That was words that were spoken through the whole battlefield. The whole battlefield was still filled with cheers, yet his words reverberated. While the most ninjas didn't hear him, they could feel his confidence running throughout the place. What do you mean? His godfather questioned him. While losing his right arm, Jiraiya was still one of the strongest ninjas in the ninja world. He was one of the sages in the world. While he may not have the complete sage mode, he was still one of them. His presence could be felt as he spoke. Yet, Naruto did not even falter. He just looked at his godfather as he continued. Just as I said, it was nothing but obligation. Obligation is a human being that is living in this world, but now that I've saved the world, it doesn't need me anymore. I've repaid my debt with it. That's why I'm leaving. His parents were looking at him with shock that was evident in their eyes. His mother was barely controlling herself on approaching him while his father was giving him a sad look. It seems that he was thinking of what he said, and his sister was tearing up while giving him a pleading look of forgiveness. They all thought that he wanted to die. The people who were with him were looking at him like he was crazy. How would he even leave on this world? He can't be thinking to die now, would he? These were the thoughts that were running on their mind as they gave him an incredulous stare while one person was thinking about the words he spoke. He thought of every single thing they have done up to this point, when he realized what he was talking about. The person thinking gave a mirthful chuckle as he was hit in the sudden realization at the words the boy spoke. I've known you for too long, Naruto. So when you speak of leaving this world, I know you're not thinking to die, am I right? That was why you yourself volunteered to stall Kaguya before we sealed her. You used it on her. You completed it. He spoke. He connected every single piece of the puzzle and hints the boy gave at them from the beginning up to this point. That was why he studied his father's technique, why he took those eyes, why he researched every single one of them. He even implanted those eyes on him. Why he used it on the rabbit goddess. That was all for this moment. He really wanted to start anew. He gave a sympathizing look at the boy who suffered the same pain of loneliness like him. While the boy suffered more than he was, they both knew the pain of loneliness. As expected of you, Sasuke, you're smarter than me after all. The boy smiled slightly while giving him a respectful look as they stared at each other. They were not flinching in the judging gaze each of them was giving at one another. The two was just looking at each other. Their staring contest was broken when their sensei spoke. What does he even mean? We don't understand. Explain. Their sensei, Kakashi Hatake, spoke as he pointed towards Sasuke, who discovered the meaning in the Naruto's words. They really wanted to know what he meant by those words. They didn't want him to take a suicidal approach when they just finished fighting in a war. You all knew that he studied his father's technique, right? After the crowd gave an affirmative nod, he continued, but you didn't know that he took Toba's Mangekyo Sharingan, the one that allows him to travel through his own pocket dimension, Kamui, authority of the gods. He spoke as if he was just talking about the weather. But the crowd was absolutely surprised by the revelation. Whaaatt. Every single of them screamed. They didn't expect the Naruto to do something like that. What would he even use the Sharingan for? Then Sasuke continued, he even implanted them as his own. Now they were really astonished by the continuous revelations. The Sharingan was one of the deadliest jujutsu that ever existed. Now it was implanted on the Naruto. They were really shocked by the non-stop news that was given to them. Then, Kakashi, the Junin sensei of the two boys spoke, "How can he turn it off when I can't even do it? It should not be possible even with his genes. I'm not really sure, I'm guessing it's because he's a sage." He gave a questioning look at Naruto, who just gave a slight nod in assurance. "I just tested it though. After testing it, I re-implanted my original eyes." That was a shocker. He was even able to deactivate the Sharingan with ease. Now, Naruto really was a dangerous person. The most wary of him was his father, godfather, godmother, and his sensei. His mother and sister were just looking at him with wide eyes. "So, how does that explain things?" Their sensei continued. While they wanted answers about the Sharingan, what were important right now were the words he had spoken. They really needed to know what he meant. It was his father Minato, who realized by the hints given by Naruto and Sasuke. "So that was why you asked for my technique." Minato spoke in a firm and assertive tone. His son was really a genius in sealing, there was no doubt about that. To think that he would be try to do something which was thought to be impossible, maybe his son already made it work. But even in that tone his father used, Naruto did not care, he just gave a look that basically means, "Yes. What you're trying to do is dangerous. I know that I and your mother made you suffer too much, but you don't have to do this. We want to make it up to you, even if you don't forgive us for what we've done. But we care for you, don't do this." Minato spoke loudly in a begging tone. His mother, who was startled by his father's tone, asked, "What are you saying? Why are you even saying he doesn't have to forgive us? You don't want him to forgive us?" Kushina was shaking while asking about what the boy was talking about. "It's better than what he's trying to do," his father cried out at Kushina. Not even caring that he just gave an ear-deafening shout. Minato was slapped by Kushina. Tears were leaking out of her eyes as she started to get angry at the Minato. "I can't believe you. He's your son and you don't want his forgiveness," his mother screamed out. Naruto, who was stoic at best and confused at worst, was watching the scene with amusement. He actually get to see his parents fighting. All the time he saw the both of them, they were lovey-dovey to each other no matter where they were. His best friend Sasuke, who was looking at the scene, glanced at him. While he knew Naruto was stoic, he could see the amusement in his eyes. They were brothers after all. Their bond as brothers was stronger than blood, it was even stronger than the bonds Naruto and his sister has. He can read the boy as much as the boy could read him. He definitely saw the amusement in his eyes. He just gave a tired sigh as he looked back at the scene. As usual, he's still waiting for a grand exit. Even though he changed in many ways, that habit will never do so. His parents that were fighting and arguing with each other were being calmed down by the other people, his sister, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Kakashi. Okay, calm down. Jiraiya spoke as he and the others separated Minato and Kushina. His mother was glaring angrily at his father, who was still shocked at the plan Naruto was planning to do so. "Now that we've separated the both of you, what are you talking about?" his godfather asked. He really wanted to know what his godson Naruto was speaking about. But he knew that the boy won't budge no matter what it is. He just hoped that whatever it wasn't something big. But before the boy's father could speak, the boy's mother interrupted. "What he's talking about is he doesn't want our son's forgiveness. Do you know how hard it is for me, for my husband to speak something like that?" There was clear rage in her voice as she spoke. She was really furious at Minato, who doesn't even want his son's forgiveness anymore. "I told you it's better than what he's trying to do," his father argued back. "The two of you should just calm down," his godfather yelled at the both of them. The boy's lips could be seen twitching upwards. He was barely able to control his lips from smiling. His best friend, who was looking at him, just gave him a raised eyebrow, then his friend gave an exasperated sigh. "Don't interrupt," His godfather pointed to his mother, who was glaring at his father, scowled at Jiraiya. When she calmed down, his godfather continued. Now, what are you talking about? He asked, looking at the boy's father. He wants to leave this dimension, don't you know how crazy that sounds? His father screamed, making the crowd very much to their own state of unadulterated shock and wide-eye in disbelief. That's not possible, right? His godfather now was worried. While he didn't give him most of his time for the boy, he still cared for the boy as well. He didn't want him to leave this world. I know, but that's what the hints the both of them gave. His father pointed at the Naruto and his best friend. You know that he doesn't want anything that I and his mother have, yet why did he beg for my technique? That was the reason. It's a time-space ninjutsu, for God's sake. Now he has the Kamui, and he probably took Kagaya's ability to travel through dimensions. Being shocked was now nothing but an understatement. They couldn't believe what they've just heard. Did they really hear that he took a power from the rabbit goddess that easily? The only thoughts that were going on their minds were that they didn't believe what Minato was saying. How is it possible for him to take one of Kagaya's ability? His godfather exclaimed. Taking a power from Kagaya wasn't possible. She was a god in terms of power. It took the strength of Naruto and Sasuke, who were the reincarnation of Asura, and Indra Otsutsuki, the children of the Sage of Six Paths, just to seal her. Keyword: sealed. They were only able to seal her in the moon, they weren't able to kill her very existence. The whole world watched the both of them fight the goddess. They were beaten bloody and ragged. While the both of them defeated Madara Uchiha and the Ten Tails, they were barely able to defeat Kagaya. Even in their full strength, they were a mere drop of water compared to the power that Kagaya has. It took many cunning plans and exquisite execution of those strategies in the right position and the right time just to seal her. And Minato was saying that Naruto just took Kagaya's ability. Damn it, Jiraiya, he's a seal master. Don't you understand that? Minato argued back. Sasuke knitted both of his eyebrows in irritation in the never-ending arguments the crowd had. He just gave a defeated expression when he saw Naruto placed a hand on his mouth just to keep himself from being seen with a smile on his face. Naruto was now obviously enjoying the scene that was occurring in front of him. Sasuke was just dead tired. He doesn't want to deal with this shit anymore, and he would just take a rest sooner. He gave a knowing look at Naruto before speaking. So you're leaving, huh? Are you sure what you're planning to do will work? Sasuke asked, breaking the argument that was happening between Naruto and Jiraiya. They now looked at Naruto, waiting for his response. They don't really want Naruto to leave. And leaving dimensions would possibly make him never come back. Naruto, who was asked by Sasuke, just gave him a, "Who do you think you're talking to?" look before he snorted. Yes, it will work, I'm just not sure whether I'll come out of it alive though. Once I've tested it and made out of it alive, modifications should be possible. Sasuke just gave him a nod in acknowledgement before Naruto continued. What will you do now? He asked Sasuke, who just replied. Nothing. Huh. Naruto just gave him a confused look. First, he wants to destroy Konoha, then he wants to become a Hokage, now he wants to do nothing. Sasuke's just as confusing as ever. He thought as he knitted his brows in confusion. Nothing. Maybe I'll just explore the world. I don't have a goal anymore. Sasuke explained. He didn't really know what to do in his life. First his brother killed their clan, then he was obsessed with revenge, then he betrayed Konoha for power, he killed Orochimaru, and then he killed Itachi when it was revealed that it was the Hokage and the elders who gave the order to kill the clan. He then have a new goal. It was to kill the Hokage and the elders. After killing the elders, he wanted to destroy Konoha, then he fought against Madara and the Ten Tails, then he fought a god alongside Naruto. After that, he doesn't really have any goal in his life. Do you want to come with me, then? My goal is just to leave this dimension. If I die trying, then I die. I don't really have any dreams anymore. I'm just the same as you. If we leave this world, we die trying to do so. We don't really have anything to after all. Naruto asked his rival curiously. They were brothers in all but blood. They would be protecting each other no matter what. Even though they had their own share of problems, even though the both of them tried to kill each other, it was only because of their problems that they became brothers. That was why they won't abandon each other when they were finally able to fix most of their problems. Sasuke just gave a smirk knowingly at Naruto. No, I'll just explore this world. If I go with you, I know that you're bound to get into trouble. I would rather rest than helping you solve your problems. I'm tired now that I don't have any goal to achieve. He spoke coolly as Naruto just gave a slight smile before continuing. We never change, do we? Naruto sighed. Naruto gave an expressive tone as he continued. I'll be leaving then, knowing you don't have anything to anymore, you'll save this world if it gets into trouble. So if you have problems dealing with it alone, call me. The best friends who were talking were stopped by Kushina, who gave a pleading cry at Naruto. Naruto, please don't do this. Don't leave us. We want you to come back with your family. Ka-san, mother, isn't it easy to see that I don't want to live with you? I already forgave you for what you and Tu-san, father, had done to me. So you don't have to beg to my forgiveness. You can now live in peace without any regrets. Naruto's previous calm aura was replaced with a cold one. His tone was back from the friendly one he used with Sasuke to the emotionless one he was using earlier. Naruto, you won't be leaving. You'll die in the process of trying to leave the dimension. Minato spoke with worry filling his voice. He won't let his son leave this world only to die in the process. He still had many regrets, especially the regret of leaving his son to suffer in pain and loneliness. Naruto, I was alone like you, I was an orphan, but I've found a family in Konoha, the same could be said to you. You won't be alone anymore, you'll have your family with you. Just don't leave. Unexpectedly, it was not Naruto who gave a reply, it was his best friend Sasuke. Yondaime, you do not know what you're talking about. You know nothing of the pain brought by loneliness. Your loneliness pales in comparison to what I and Naruto had felt in our lives. Sasuke spoke coldly, making the crowd shiver in the tone he used. It was a tone filled with darkness and anger. Anger at the fact that Minato compares the loneliness he felt when he was an orphan at the loneliness the two boys felt. That's not true. He was an orphan. He was the same as Naruto and Sasuke, who grew up as an orphan in most of their lives. Sasuke's parents died at the hands of his brother when he was at an early age, and Naruto didn't even know his parents until he was 13. Yes, it is. He finished as he glared at Minato, who was only giving a worried look at Naruto. Naruto, who was looking at them, turned around and he just started to walk at Sasuke's direction when he was restrained by his mother, who was hugging him tightly. Naruto, don't leave, please. Kushina could do nothing but cry as she held Naruto, who was trying to leave. Naruto just pushed Kushina away forcefully before heading towards Sasuke's direction. Naruto suddenly felt a strong tug on his back as he saw a flash of yellow behind him, only to see Minato grabbing him. Naruto, you're coming back with us. You're not leaving this world. Minato declared at him. Sasuke dashed forward towards Naruto and Minato as he released Susanoo, tempestuous god of valor, making the crowd feel the humongous power that was bursting out from Sasuke. Minato released his hold of Naruto as he was punched by the arm in Sasuke's Susanoo. He flew backwards at the crowd's position, making them wary that there was a small skirmish currently happening right now. They saw Sasuke, who had his Susanoo released, besides Naruto, who has his back turned that looks like he's preparing something. Jiraiya and Minato approached the two, faster than most ninjas. They didn't hold back at all, since this boy was one of the people who were strong enough to hold himself and win against Madara. Jiraiya dashed at Sasuke while preparing an Udama Rasengan, big ball spiraling sphere, in his right hand as he dashed at the boy's position. Minato threw many of his tri-prong kunai as a distraction, which Sasuke just easily batted away with the right arm of his Susanoo. Jiraiya slammed the Udama Rasengan at Sasuke, only to be blocked and repelled by his impenetrable defense. Seeing that Sasuke won't easily budge, Minato used his Harem, Flying Thunder God, in a series of numerous flashes of yellow directed at Sasuke's direction, trying to surprise Sasuke to reach Naruto. Minato knows that Naruto was now preparing his technique to travel other dimensions. He needed to stop Naruto before he completes the process. But Sasuke was able to thwart the both of them. He used the whole Susanoo as defense against the flashing attacks of Minato as he delayed them while he saw Naruto was preparing. Of course he would be able to do so. Right now, Naruto Namikaze and Sasuke Uchiha were the strongest ninja of this era. Even the Toad Sage and the Yellow Flash won't be able to do anything against one of the people who defeated Madara Uchiha and the Rabbit Goddess, Kagaya Otsutsuki. Naruto. Stop what you're doing right now. Naruto was now preparing for the dimension traveling technique that he created with the use of the time-space ninjutsu, Kamui and Kagaya's dimension traveling ability. They were not able to penetrate Sasuke's Susanoo. He was standing there, an immovable object that cannot be budged no matter what happens. He was preventing them from reaching Naruto and stopping him from unleashing his technique. After the moment that seemed like forever, they saw Naruto who was sitting still standing up. He had the marks of Sage Mode. He was clearly planning on using the natural energy that surrounds the world for his technique. The sensors among the crowd could feel enormous amounts of nature chakra inside of his body being pushed to the seal he created. The seal was created with a permanent ink from his pouch so that the seal would not deteriorate. He even placed numerous permanent seals around the sealing circle so that the seal and the ground would be suspended in a timeless space. He grabbed 2 vials inside of his pouch, one with the blood and another one with an unknown chemical. He bit his right thumb as he spread his blood on the sealing circle he created in the ground. Sasuke was getting irritated for how long Naruto was taking his time with. He asked in an irritated tone, "Aren't you finished yet?" Right now, he was standing tall and firm. None of other ninjas were approaching now. Even Naruto's parents could only watch on what he was doing. They weren't able to move Sasuke away from Naruto. The only remaining option they had now was to convince Naruto to stop what he was doing. Not yet, Sasuke. Just be patient and don't kill them. There. Now it's done. Naruto spoke in reply at Sasuke, who just grunted back mockingly. He didn't really want to do this. Naruto would now owe him one. He just wanted to sleep and regain his strength, but instead, since Naruto wanted a grand exit, he had to prevent others from reaching Naruto. He saw Naruto pull the cork of the 2 vials as he made a single drop of the both vials fall of the sealing circle Naruto created. The single drop of the liquid inside the vials made the sealing circle sizzle so hard it could be heard in the whole crowd. After pouring a single drop of both vials, he placed them back on his pouch and then he made numerous hand seals, and the moment he finished he slammed his right hand in the sealing circle. He spoke. Fuinjutsu. Musaigen no Kamui. Unlimited authority of gods. The crowd watching could only give him looks of awe and amazement as they saw the sealing circle changed from the circle to a black hole similar to the one being made by the Kamui. The black hole of deep space was just there as he stood up, leveling his look at Sasuke, who was just smirking at him. Sasuke reached out his hand, making a bump fist action which Naruto returned back as he smiled at his brother. No words were needed now, since they were brothers who understood each other's words and actions. The moment of stupor was broken by Naruto's sister, who screamed at Naruto. "Ototo. Little brother, don't leave me please." Naruto could see her crying as she was sobbing non-stop while looking at him with obvious plea in her eyes. Yet, Naruto did not stop. He simply looked at her before turning back in the black hole. He turned towards Sasuke and gave him one final sentence. "If you want any help when you save this world next time it gets into trouble, the seal will be in the place where the light and darkness met and part ways." He finished as he motioned himself to walk towards the black hole in the ground. He observed the crowd as he was walking towards Sasuke. He saw his peers such as Shikamaru, Choji and Sai giving him a nod of acknowledgement. He also saw Gaara giving him a smile that was saying a simple goodbye. He saw his sensei Kakashi, his godmother Tsunade, and his godfather giving him a sad look that says, "I'm sorry." Lastly, he saw his family crying. His father was depressed as he gave him a sad look. His mother was begging for forgiveness and was saying that she doesn't want Naruto to leave, and he saw his sister with the stubborn pleading look as she screamed, "Odoto, I love you, please don't leave me alone. Come back, please." His sister was crying out as she made a reaching motion towards Naruto's direction only to see Naruto speaking before he fell down to the black hole. "I see. I'm leaving, Nei-san. Goodbye." After Naruto fell down, the black hole changed from the black hole of deep space back to the ceiling circle, and then a prism of various colors surrounded the circle. She wept endlessly as she saw Naruto falling down on the black hole. Her cries were heard in the whole battlefield. She was sprawled in the ground with her eyes so red from the tears that were continuously leaking out of her eyes. Jiraiya and Tsunade could do nothing but comfort her from her loss. They knew that she loved Naruto, not as a brother but as a man. They knew that she loves Naruto wholeheartedly and she was expecting it in return. But right now, she was only broken-hearted by the man she loves, her brother who did not return the love she was expecting. Minato and Kushina, who regained their strength and stopped themselves from being depressed any further, approached Sasuke, who had no longer had his Susanoo activated. Kushina was full of anger as she asked him angrily, "Why did you not stop him?" Sasuke was just looking at her with nothing but a blank gaze, which only irritated Kushina even further. "I'm asking you, why didn't you do anything to stop him?" she asked as she grabbed Sasuke and she shook him forcefully. Minato was trying to calm down. Kushina also looked at Sasuke, waiting for his answer. His family was broken now. There was nothing but a slim chance of getting Naruto back. If his theory about dimensions were correct, it was possible that there were countless dimensions that exist in the whole universe. So determining the place where Naruto will wound up would be downright impossible. Sasuke just pushed Kushina away before giving his answer. "I didn't stop him because I understand him best, even better than the three of you, his family, and all of you." He pointed his finger at every people Naruto knew. And if there was someone who really understood Naruto in all of you, he motioned himself as he looked at the crowd before pointing at Gaara, "It would be you, Gaara. You knew why Naruto left." He stated as he gave an understanding look at Gaara, who just gave an assertive nod in return. Yeah, Naruto was really broken. He wanted to get away from his past. I understand that. His life was even more miserable than mine. I was a Jinchuriki and he wasn't. Yet, he was discriminated as one. That was why he wanted to leave. Even if he forgave every single one of you, the mental wounds and scars every single of you had given to him will never disappear. They will be buried in his broken heart forever. While it can be mended, it will never be erased, it will be etched in his heart for as long as he lives. Gaara spoke in a sad tone as he remembered the one who saved him from the pain and loneliness of being a Jinchuriki. His family and the ninjas from Konoha were ashamed of what they've done. What Gaara stated was right, they had no way of rebutting what was said to them. His parents were now comforting their sleeping daughter who cried for losing Naruto. They really did mess up. After that, the ninjas of their own respective villages cleaned up the sickening state of the battlefield. Many of their comrades fell during the war, they would honor and respect them for the deeds they made during the war. They would mourn for them. At this moment on, the Fourth Shinobi World War has truly ended, and a world of lasting peace in the ninja world was finally achieved. Scene break. The moment Naruto was conscious again, he opened up his eyes. He saw nothing but an endless void, a void where in every direction, many mixes of iridescent colors was in the void. It was like looking through an endless kaleidoscope of abstract colors. There was literally nothing here. No sign of life, no sign of other objects except rocks and those weird giant stone statues floating in the void. Where am I? Did the seal failed? That shouldn't be possible. I checked the seal many times before I activated it. Naruto thought with a distraught expression. By using the crushed Kamui Mangekyo Sharingan and mixing them with purified Uchiha blood, I would have a catalyst for opening up the dimension, and the seal was built with intricate and complex array of seals about time-space. And with the help of Keigaya's ability, I would be able to travel through the dimension, and by using the natural energy of the world, I would have enough energy to activate the seal, and my body, which is still using Sage mode, would survive the process of traveling from one dimension to another. Does this mean that there was something wrong with the seal? Maybe I went wrong somewhere. Naruto's thoughts continued thinking while he was in the endless void, where a large looming voice spoke, startling Naruto. How did a human get in here? You shouldn't even be alive in the gap. Naruto looked towards the direction where the voice spoke. What he saw made him eye-wide in shock. His stoic demeanor was broken, and he was absolutely shocked by the massive red dragon with a pointy horn in its snout and a large span of wings. Naruto deduced that the dragon's whole size would be about 100 meters. It was even larger than the 9 tails. This was a being with immense strength and unstoppable power. Instinctively, he knew that he didn't have any chance against this dragon, even with the 6 paths chakra flowing through him. He knew that he won't be able to do anything against the dragon. Even his most notable and destructive seals won't deal any damage on the dragon. At best only a scratch could be done against the dragon, and at worst, it would only tickle the dragon. Right now, he did not want a massive dragon that would kill him, so he stopped himself from taking any risky actions, and he just looked at the massive dragon. He could feel the intimidating presence of the dragon. This being is even stronger than Keigaya, who they barely defeated. This being could destroy him easily in nothing but a flick of finger. Naruto saw the scrutinizing look the dragon was giving him. I see, so that's how. This is the main reason why I am in the dimensional gap, to stop the inhabitants of the other dimension from reaching the other dimension. Now, I asked you a question. What's your name and how did you get here? Based on what the dragon said, he is probably a guardian or something that prevents someone from entering the other dimension. Naruto thought as he looked at the dragon, trying to judge it as he gave a frustrated sigh. Naruto relented and he told the dragon the truth. He was sweating nervously while thinking of the pros and cons of telling the truth at the dragon. But he didn't want to lie against a dragon that could eat him, kill him, or whatever he wanted. So he just spoke the truth and he waited for the dragon's reaction. The name's Naruto Uzumaki and I came here from the ninja world. I used a sealing circle I created specifically to travel other dimensions. He spoke emotionlessly while beads of sweat could be easily seen since they were very visible. The nervousness and fear Naruto was giving could be felt by the dragon who was judging Naruto. If you came here by accident, I would have just sent you back where you belong, but since you came here intentionally, give me a reason why I would not kill you right now. The dragon asked. His looming voice made Naruto's nervousness show. Naruto was already taking a fighting stance while preparing against the massive red dragon that was in front of him. While he didn't want to die, he wouldn't die without any fight at all. I don't have any reason I could give to prevent you from killing me, but I could give the reason why did I leave in the first place. I just wanted to leave my dimension so that I could achieve my dream. Naruto spoke while waiting for his impending doom. He was just delaying the dragon while thinking of any plan that would allow him to escape in the endless void. The dragon, who knew Naruto's intention, did nothing to stop him. The dragon just continued to give him another question. The dragon was sating his curiosity on the human who arrived in the dimensional gap when it shouldn't be possible to do so. What is your dream then? This is the final question. If you do not satisfy me, I kill you, and if you do satisfy me, who knows? The dragon asked. He could easily read any lie that the human would give, and he already knew the human's dream anyway. He is the representation of dreams and illusion after all. He just wanted the words to come outside the human's mouth. Naruto just closed his eyes and was waiting for the dragon's verdict as he spoke his dream. I want to be freed from the shackles of my past by starting a new life that I would pave myself so that I will create my own future. He poured all of his feelings as he spoke his dream, knowing that he might die in the endless void. Naruto smiled inwardly as he thought. At least I was able to voice out my dream before I die. He gave bright smile as his dream was spoken through his mouth. He waited for the dragon to kill him, eat him, or maybe even incinerate him or whatever the dragon could think of, but it didn't came. He opened his eyes only to see the dragon looking at him, in a calculative and thinking pose that coincidentally looked like Shikamaru's thinking pose. The dragon then looked at Naruto directly, bringing his face closely to Naruto. The pointy and sharp horn attached to the dragon's snout was only centimeters away from Naruto's face. He was now close to hyperventilating. His thoughts was nothing but, I would be eaten by the huge dragon. But the dragon did something he didn't expect, it laughed. Yes, the dragon laughed, rather boisterously in fact. Ha 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 ha. A dream filled with so much conviction as yours, I welcome it. In fact, you have my blessings, boy. Many dreams I have felt, encountered and seen was not as determined as yours. The dragon told him gleefully with a delightful expression that never left the dragon's face. It was like the dragon is in a state of joy from the dream he heard. Huh, he just tilted his head since he didn't understand whatever the dragon said to him. I just told him my dream and then his presence changed from deadly to cheerful, what the hell? Naruto thought as he pondered about whatever the dragon was talking about, but nothing came to him. You're wondering about what I said, boy. Since you introduced yourself, I do so myself. I am Great Red, the dragon who represents dreams and illusions. The dragon now named Great Red introduced himself at Naruto, who was just looking at him, flabbergasted and greatly astonished. And I am glad to see a dream full of conviction and pureness. I have seen your memories, boy, and to see a dream such as yours wanting to be fulfilled, how could I not laugh? The dragon looked at him with eyes of understanding and sympathy that Naruto knew he had seen in the dragon's eyes. That's why, live to achieve your dream. I will only give you my blessings. It will be up to your hard work and determination to fulfill your own dream. Those words echoed in Naruto's head as he started to lose consciousness. He was barely hanging on, with his mind still able to see the dragon but hazily as his eyesight was starting to blur. But before he completely loses consciousness, he muttered quietly. Thanks, Red-san. The boy was now unconscious when Great Red opened up black void in the dimensional gap where he would throw the boy. But before he threw the boy, he spoke one last thing. By bringing you to the other side, there will be grave consequences, but I want to see you achieve your dream, so you owe me one, boy. He threw Naruto towards the place where the black void was forming. When Naruto reached the void, it looked like he was being eaten by the black space. After a few seconds, he was now gone and Great Red was no longer there to be seen. I stifled a groan as I regained my consciousness. My whole body was aching in pain and I could feel a throbbing pang of hatred in my mind as I moved my body, trying to stand up from my sprawled up position in the ground. I could understand the pain from my sore and broken body which just traversed from one dimension to another. The process should have even decimated my whole body in the process, which surprisingly doesn't. But I don't understand the heavy feeling of irritation and anger. I wouldn't even have this feelings normally, but right now, I'm sure that this emotion is really anger. I wanted to lash out against something and preferably someone. However, I held my body forcibly to stop that from happening. My body was convulsing harshly. I even used a binding seal to somehow stop my body and try to calm it down. After my whole body cooled off and I began to relax, I could feel a tingling sensation pricking my skin, making me shiver slightly. My whole body was sitting still and I started to draw the nature energy lingering in the atmosphere. In an instant, I could feel the sage marks started to appear and the gathered nature energy was balanced inside of my body. It was then that I realized the overflowing hatred and bitterness seeping from the nature. And I gathered them inside my body. No wonder I was feeling anger and overwhelming hatred. The nature was using my body as a medium since it was accustomed to gather nature energy. No wonder I was feeling irritated earlier. and the prickling sensation all over my body. The nature energy was trying to find a good medium to use so that nature would be able to vent its anger towards the world. Any normal sage that would have gathered this nature energy would probably go mad and be driven insane without any coherent thoughts. They would not even realize that nature was using their body as a way to lash out from the beings who were continuing to destroy the nature. To describe the nature energy at this place in simple words, it's tainted, it's corrupted, it's foul, but most of all, it's dangerous, especially for those who are attempting to gather nature energy without any practice and training. Fortunately, I am a master, so I am able to regulate this surprisingly more potent nature energy and purify them. I felt disgusted at the feeling of regulating the nature energy. By being a master, I can feel the damage that has been done towards nature, and I could see vivid images running through my mind as I saw uncountable means on how this world treats nature. I could do nothing but be sickened on how nature was being handled, mostly by humanity in this dimension. They were polluting the air by smoke and unpurified air chemicals. The bodies of water, which are spread throughout the whole globe, was polluted by garbage, trash and dangerous liquidized chemicals that can kill anything living in the waters. The countless trees and bountiful forests in this world was being cut and not even replaced. Even the land itself was deteriorating so fast I can feel the earth's soil becoming hard and brittle. This world is approaching its death faster than it was supposed to be, and no one is even doing anything about it. Those who do so are being half-assed on it. But by seeing the nature's treatment, I was also able to saw the state of technology in this world. I saw countless vehicles used for traveling long distances, some were even used to travel air itself. I would have been in a state of awe if not for the fact that these vehicles were destroying the world. But what made me curious was the fact that I sense humanity in this world did not have any chakra at all. Though, the only reason why we, the humans from the elemental nation, could use chakra was because the sage of six paths himself spread out the chakra through a practice called ninshu, but humanity just trampled on his hopes and made the ninshu into ninjutsu, a weapon of war. Yeah, you're right about that. You humans squashed Father's dream of peace. I heard a snort inside of my head as I was halted from my thoughts. The voice was probably aggravated from my comment earlier about ninshu. This guy inside of my mind is the sage of six paths, child after all. Asura Otsutsuki, the ancestor of the Senju and Uzumaki clans. Unfortunately for me, his voice is something that would never leave my head until the moment the life in me is snuffed out. Do you really have to be a jerk just like that? Asura cried out in disbelief as shrug him off while thinking of him as nothing but an annoyance, which unfortunately for me is something true. Be like that, you moron. Of course, I would be like this. You didn't even thank me when I saved your siblings and decided to put extra voices in my head so that you won't be alone. I held back a low growl as the voice inside of me retorted back. You would have taken them anyway since you do anything for a new power. I felt insulted at his words, but I didn't even deny them. Why should I, when it was nothing but the truth? Denying so would just be contradicting my very self. Asura asked no one in particular. You don't even accept peace, so why did you have to be my reincarnation? With your power-hungry tendencies, you should have been Indra's reincarnation instead. At least Hashirama was an okay person in my book. I accept peace, you moron. But what you're talking about is different. My reasons are justified. I did not rebut the power-hungry tendencies he was talking since it was true, though the keyword is was. By becoming the strongest ninja besides Sasuke in elemental nations, I have no drive in pursuing further strength any longer. Yeah, what I'm talking about is different, but it is still peace. And no, there's no justification at all. You're just being a child throwing a tantrum. Asura himself knew as well that I am no longer trying to find power since I was already one of the strongest being in the world, so he didn't mention anything about that. Whatever, just go back to sleep with your siblings and I'll just purify the forest of the taint. I hope you realize how wrong you are. Even though they have wronged you, they wanted to do nothing more than to make amends, but before they could, you leave them in the dust, making them wallow in regret and sorrow. Though, I agree with you in purifying the forest, I feel dirty. Clean up the place as soon as possible. Asura replied before cutting our connection off. He was probably going back to sleep or possibly annoy one of his siblings who were also inside of my head, sleeping. How wrong am I, huh? I looked in the blue sky as I gave a loose sigh. I could still hear his words echoing through my whole mind, repeating endlessly. I know I am wrong, but I have and will always have a firm belief of forgiving someone, yet not giving them any second chances, and only those people who are being used and manipulated by others should be given one. Just like with Sasuke, he was manipulated by his brother ever since the Uchiha clan massacre. Just like with Obito, who was manipulated by Madara and become nothing but a pawn. Lastly me, who was manipulated by the third Hokage to become a weapon for Konoha. While I know he loved me just as a true grandson, he also wanted to tie me down to Konoha, and by my father, who just used me as a bait for Madara to think that I was a Jinchuriki by announcing me as one at my birth when I was not one, and there's nothing more I hate than being used. If I didn't go with Sasuke and Orochimaru when they decided to revive the past Hokages, I wouldn't have known the truth. Flashback. I was observing in the sidelines as I saw Itachi and Sasuke fighting Kabuto inside the cave, where Kabuto was controlling the undead shinobis by using the S-rank Kenjutsu, Kuchiyos, Edo Tensai, summoning, and pure world resurrection. Truth to be told, I think that Kabuto is truly a genius when it comes to being Orochimaru's apprentice. He was able to summon many ninjas, most of them were famous and even some were in the cage level. Normally, I wouldn't even bat an eyelash on whoever insults me, but I spat a mocking insult the moment I heard Kabuto spouting some nonsense about achieving a perfect sage mode. You call that creepy transformation of yours a complete sage mode? Bullshit. I was sneering at him when he looked at me, a little flabbergasted and surprised that I was there. The guy was not even able to sense me when I was just laid down in the sidelines with my left hand cupping my head as I was watching them fight it all out. But it was understandable, since I was using a unique sage technique where I blend my chakra with the outer nature energy, allowing myself to take the presence as the same as the lingering nature chakra in the atmosphere, which meant that I was just there with the same aura of nature, something that would make go unnoticed by everyone except those who are masters adept in using nature energy. I would have just ignored FHIM if not for the fact that he mentioned that disgusting appearance of his as a perfect sage mode. That's not one, it's just an imperfect one, like the one Jiraiya uses. But this one is even uglier though. The guy was deluded too much that he thought he was a complete sage. As far as I recall, there are currently 5 people who became complete sages. These people were the Sage of Six Paths, Asura Otsutsuki, Hashirama Senju, Minato Namikaze, and lastly, me. Most of the other sages before and after the Warring States era were all incomplete. For them to become complete, they must have an affinity with nature itself, and since people having an affinity with nature is scarce, they would only be able to use senjutsu through the incomplete sage mode, but by using it, they would either need the cooperation of their summons or either gather the nature energy, but they would have parts of their body changed into one that is of animals. My trail of thoughts was stopped when I heard a dark voice coming from Sasuke, interrupting me in my memory lane. It seems that he didn't like being forced to stop in fighting or something like that. Naruto, need I to remind you that me and Itachi are currently fighting him, and don't even try to intervene in our fight. I want answers from Itachi. Sasuke spoke as he admonished me with a stern tone in his voice. Hi. Just finished it as soon as possible. We were only here at first because you wanted answers from Itachi. I didn't think that you would be fighting Kabuto right there. I just shrugged off his scolding as I diluted my presence in the nature energy coating the whole cavern. I gathered the nature energy instantly, making my presence the same as nature, allowing it to disappear. After 8 hours, which was actually less than 20 minutes, Sasuke and Itachi defeated Kabuto by placing him in an endless loop of a genjutsu that could only be broken by Kabuto if he decided to accept himself. The technique was called Izanami or something like that. While I could replicate the technique, instead of being a S rank technique, it would most likely become a B rank or probably C rank since the technique needed to be powered up by the Sharingan. And since I didn't have that, it would be nothing but a rip-off technique supplemented by a weak genjutsu. And since genjutsu is not really one of my fortes, I decided it would be nothing but a bother. Itachi was starting to disappear into bits of light when he stared at me with a knowing look. Naruto, thanks for taking care of Sasuke. He gave a slight nod of acknowledgement at my direction as I gave out my reply. No problem, I'd do anything for a friend. Since I only have 3 people that I could truthfully call a friend and one of them is this guy. Most are nothing but acquaintances. I gave a respecting nod at him as I placed my arm on Sasuke's shoulder, in which Sasuke just gave a rasp, completely annoyed. Itachi just smiled at my action, though I can see in his eyes looking at me in pity. He also knew of my predicament of not being actually a Jinchuriki. He was one of my Anbu guards when I was a child after all. He was always looking out for me whenever I would be in danger. I totally respect him, though I can't exactly say that we were friends. Sasuke was my best friend since no one can understand my pain besides him. We were both used and manipulated by many people. And we were also rivals when we were both children. Haku, the boy I met when Team 7 went to a mission in the wave. He gave me the philosophy and belief that I would become stronger if I had something or someone I truly want to protect. Guessed that he was right. Though, I don't know where he is now. As far as I know, they left after we defeated and killed Gato and removed the tyranny reigning over the wave country. Lastly, Gaara, the 5th Kazekage of Sunagakur. After I saved him from loneliness of being a Jinchuriki and being captured by Akatsuki, we became friends, and whenever I needed something useless, he always helps me out, even though I was a missing nin that is the top priority to be captured by Konoha. Apparently, he cared more for his friend rather than alliances. I saw Itachi looking directly at Sasuke in the eye as he started speaking to him. Just like how Danzo and Tobi explained it to you. Everything they said was true. Let me show it to you. The moment he said that, I knew Sasuke was wrapped inside a genjutsu after he spoke those words. I don't know what Sasuke saw in the genjutsu, but when it was finished, I can see that he was really speechless at what he just witnessed. I have always lied to you, since I did not want to get you involved, but if I had faced you from the start, maybe you could have changed father and mother. You would have changed the Uchiha. But I failed. I won't put myself above you and tell you this or that, it's already too late. So this time for once, let me tell you one small truth. It's alright even if you never forgive me, but no matter what happens and no matter what kind of person you become, Itachi grabbed Sasuke's head gently as he connected the both of their foreheads as he looked at Sasuke in the eye before speaking his last words. I will always love you. After Itachi's last words were spoken, I saw him disappearing with a smile on his face before he disappeared in bits of white light and the body used for him turned to dust. Sasuke was just standing there completely stupefied. His body was completely still, and if he was a sage, he would have drained the nature energy in the cave. I held back a groan at that bad pun of mine. I was always bad in making puns, yet I still make them. Naruto, what is a clan? Sasuke asked me with the hopes that I have the answer. Unfortunately, I do not. Yet he still continued. What is a shinobi? It seems that this meeting with Itachi left Sasuke with nothing but questions which even I cannot answer. I was broken just like him. Right now, he is lost, he doesn't have any answers to any of his questions, and I do not have any answers to any of my questions as well. I was completely alone, walking in a path which is surrounded by nothing but darkness. The only light visible was the one ending in my path. Yet, I do not give up. My life might have been nothing but a sham. But until I've walked this path, I will not waver. I will accomplish my dream or die trying. So, Sasuke, do not give up. Try to find your answers and move forward. Sasuke, the top of the cavern where Sasuke was standing started to crumble before falling down on him. Sasuke dodged the rubbles falling on him as light reached the cave, then we heard a loud voice, accompanied by two people who was visible after that part of the cavern gave in. We saw Suigetsu and Jugo coming out of the hole of the cave. Found you. Suigetsu's voice echoed in the whole cave. Sasuke and I were just sitting there while Suigetsu continued to talk. Suigetsu saw Kabuto, who was just standing there, unconscious, and rushed towards his direction, and judging by his face, he's really grossed out in Kabuto's appearance. That's why his proclamation of being a complete sage is bullshit. The disgusting form of him is nothing but a fake. How could he be complete when his body changed dramatically? This thing coming out from his stomach looks like a big. I groaned in annoyance as I realized what Suigetsu was trying to say. Luckily, Sasuke stopped him and we heard Jugo spoke. Sasuke, Naruto, this woman is alive. Oh, so Anko was still alive. I thought that Kabuto would have killed her already. I didn't know why Kabuto left her like that. I looked at Jugo's direction and saw an unconscious Anko along with her battered body, taking a beating from Kabuto, obviously. Sasuke spoke darkly at the two newcomers as he questioned them. What could the two of you want from me now? Sasuke just treated them as nothing but people to be used and thrown away. I'm not in any position to argue, seeing that I also did that before. Did you really spend all this time looking for me? He motioned his hand towards them as he looked at Jugo and Suigetsu's direction before Suigetsu answered. Yep. By the way, we found one hell of a hideout. Jugo was approaching us with Anko's unconscious body was slung on his right shoulder. He spoke as he was making his way towards us. You guys said that Itachi stopped Kabuto's Edo Tensei, right? After Sasuke nodded, the words Jugo spoke of left us shocked. But the Edo Tensei on the man named Madara hasn't been released. Madara Uchiha's Edo Tensei still hasn't stopped, which means that he was still moving, fighting in the war happening right now. Unless the alliance had Hashirama on their side, they're just delaying the inevitable, though it might be possible for my sister to stop Madara, she have a sliver chance of stopping him, but defeat him, no way that's possible. I see. So he's still moving. Sasuke spoke darkly as he recollected his thoughts on whatever he's thinking earlier. Suigetsu yelled at Jugo comically, and then he reached out on his long sleeve and held out a black scroll at Sasuke, who just raised an eyebrow at the scroll held out in front of him. Sasuke opened the black scroll as he started to read the contents written. Jugo was quiet and curiously, I took a peek and it left me in surprise at the sudden revelation. To think that Orochimaru! Suigetsu exclaimed loudly as he spoke. Awesome, right? We can use this in Taka, Hawk, will be able to rule the entire war. Suigetsu stopped speaking when we heard Sasuke spoke. This is it. That left us in confusion. I even tilted my head sideways when I heard his words. What did he mean? He's not planning on using that, right? His words left me in a state of worry and confusion. While I can read Sasuke as well as he can read me, even I don't know what he's planning when he's brooding like that. He knows everything. Sasuke just stood up as he continued. There's someone I have to meet now. Quote. Sasuke. Who? I asked even if I already knew the answer. He's planning on finding Orochimaru, even though he already killed him. The question in my mind is how to meet Orochimaru when he's already dead. It might be possible if Sasuke would use the Edo Tensei, but I know Sasuke won't use that vile technique, no matter what happens. Orochimaru. Why are you asking when you already know the answer, Naruto? Sasuke looked at me, but I just raised my shoulders slightly, shrugging off his inquiry. He didn't bother me anymore as Suigetsu just asked in disbelief. What are you two talking about? You already killed Orochimaru's, haven't you, Sasuke? You know that man is so resilient, he won't die easily. Sasuke spoke as he looked at the cursed seal in Anko's neck. I see. So that's how he plans to. A chip of Orochimaru's soul is embedded in every single cursed seal he created. By extracting that soul, Orochimaru would obviously come back to life. I have questions that need answers, and only that bastard knows how these questions can be answered. The clan, the village, I need answers in my questions. What? This makes no sense. Suigetsu just mumbled under his breath, trying to understand how Sasuke's complicated thinking works. Suigetsu, you underestimate Orochimaru too much. Sasuke spoke to him. Orochimaru was a man who was known to pursuing immortality. Does he really think that the bastard would just die like that? Suigetsu just denied Sasuke's words and he retorted back. I don't. It's the complete opposite. You're the one who's underestimating him. Even if you revived him, Suigetsu trailed off when he realized that he was just being ignored by Sasuke, who was making numerous hand seals in front of Anko's body. Whatever. Do what you want. Suigetsu grumbled as he just watched Sasuke, who decided to talk to Jugo. Jugo, scoop me a piece of Kabuto's body. Jugo just complied and made his way towards Kabuto's body. Suigetsu yelled at him. You sure about this, Jugo? He's gonna revive Orochimaru. He just scowled at the response he got from Jugo. Sasuke's will is Kimimara's will. I just obey. Jugo's skin started to change, turning into brownish, and he held out his hand on Kabuto's chest, and a makeshift flesh containing Kabuto's essence was probably in it. He grabbed the makeshift flesh as he turned back at Anko's direction, and he placed the flesh at Anko's cursed seal. Sasuke finished his hand seals and he placed his hand on the cursed seal. Kaya Huan. A huge snake appeared in Anko's cursed seal, and inside the snake's mouth was Orochimaru himself. Suigetsu bolted out and he used Kabuto's body as cover when Orochimaru was now standing as he came out of the snake's mouth. He observed the surroundings and he looked at Sasuke. To think that you would be the one to revive me. Orochimaru smiled ominously at Sasuke and he looked at me. And you're also here, Naruto-kun. A sinister smile crept up on Orochimaru's face as he stared at me. I held back a shiver from the inauspicious gaze he was giving me. There's something I need you to do for me. Orochimaru. Sasuke demanded from Orochimaru, who just waved off Sasuke's words as he replied. I don't need an explanation for such a menial fact. I've been watching the whole time in Anko's seal. As I split my soul in every single cursed seal, it also contained my consciousness. Then, you know about the war? I asked Orochimaru. Of course, Naruto-kun. And before you ask, I have no interest in this war. It is a war started by someone else, so why should I bother to do so? What I'm interested is, Orochimaru grinned at Sasuke as he pointed at him. That young body of yours, Sasuke-kun. He licked his lips creepily, making Suigetsu shiver in fear. And that mind of yours, Naruto-kun. He pointed at me as he added. Naruto-kun's mind, which is a trove of ideas and concepts regarding to seals, along with Sasuke-kun's eye would be an unstoppable force. He started to laugh maliciously, making me and Sasuke on our guard, but it relaxed as soon as Orochimaru added. Although, I don't have enough power to steal it yet. I wonder about that, you slippery bastard. Someone who was able to chorus an invasion and fought the third Hokage in a standstill by summoning the past Hokages before getting beaten, you still have too many tricks on your sleeve. Sasuke just approached Orochimaru before handing out the black scroll from earlier, making Orochimaru give Sasuke a calculative look as he spoke. Why do you want to meet them? A discerning gaze was visible in Orochimaru's eyes, making Suigetsu flinched, but Sasuke and I weren't that bothered by it. Sasuke replied back at him. I don't know much, but I want to hear everything from them. Orochimaru just dismissed Sasuke's words and he spoke. Everything. You don't need to know all of that, you're still a child. Sasuke was just quiet when Orochimaru spoke, probably contemplating on every single thing that has happened on him from the beginning up until now, making me thought of everything that happened to me as well. Right now, if Orochimaru were to summon the past cages, my questions would have been answered as well. What I only needed to know is the truth in my past. I don't know everything. The only thing I knew was that my parents were alive and I was not a Jinchuriki. I don't know why they abandoned me, and what I want is the answer to that, though, I already have an inkling assumption on that, and if it's true, the only person I should really hate would be the third Hokage for lying, my father for using me, my mother who agreed, but not my sister. Sasuke gave Orochimaru a blank stare before speaking. I'm no longer a child, I can't be one anymore. What kind of actions should I take? After reuniting with Itachi, my hatred against Konoha only grew stronger. Sasuke paused a little bit before continuing. But, the feelings of my brother, Itachi Uchiha, who became a traitor and died to protect the village as a Konoha shinobi. What was Itachi, then? Our clan, the village? I don't know, that's why I want to know everything. So that I can arrive at my answer and know what must be done. All Sasuke wanted to know right now is what should he do. Being manipulated by Itachi all of his life, losing everything, sacrificing everything, not knowing anything, all because he was manipulated. Orochimaru was discerning Sasuke before turning his back at him, moving towards Kabuto, who has still not broken the genjutsu casted on him. With my Sage mode activated instantly, I can see Orochimaru's Sage chakra inside Kabuto returning to him. Orochimaru was absorbing his chakra that was inside Kabuto, leaving Kabuto with only his original chakra inside. Suigetsu, with his annoying voice, spoke loudly. Look, he stole Kabuto's power. No, that's not what happened. Orochimaru just retrieved his own chakra that was inside Kabuto, and Kabuto's chakra was untouched. Jugo retorted back at Suigetsu, who was shaking his head violently, not believing a word Jugo just said. Orochimaru just spoke at Sasuke. The way you are now, it's not bad. I'll assist you. Just follow me. Orochimaru did not bother looking back as he started to make his way towards the cave's exit. Sasuke, who started to follow him along with Jugo and Suigetsu, asked. Where? Orochimaru just replied. To a place you know well. By the way, Naruto-kun, are you going to come as well? The questions you have can be answered as well. Sarutobi-sensei, while being kind man, was a shrewd person after all. Fine. I don't have anything better to do anyway. I just stood up, starting to follow them as well, leaving Kabuto alone in the cavern. Scene break. We arrived at the village I used to love, and now the village I don't care about. Orochimaru said that the place where we were going was somehow near to the village, so we took a detour to the village. After a couple of minutes, walking near the village, we saw a temple in a broken state. The entrance was barely open, due to the fact that the roof of the entrance was giving in, barely holding on. The shrine belongs to the Uzumaki clan, which was located in the outskirts of Konoha. The entrance of the place is a giant replica of the clan's symbol. Though, it is of no importance to me, even if I belong to the Uzumaki clan. The clan was already destroyed anyway. We entered the temple when we stumbled upon many masks hanged upon one side of the wall. For Orochimaru to revive the past Hokages, he needed the Shinigami mask, which would allow him to release the soul sealed inside the Shinigami's stomach. Which one is it? Sasuke asked. He obviously wanted answers as soon as possible. Orochimaru just stared in the masks hanging upon the wall, trying to find the Shinigami mask. After a few seconds of waiting, Orochimaru's snake grabbed the one which looked like the face of Shinigami. It's kinda creepy, so now that you found it, let's go. Suigetsu said as I saw him trying to suppress a shiver running through him. Yeah, let's go, to the place where all the secrets lie. After that, we left the shrine and started heading out towards the village's entrance. We were wearing black cloaks as we arrived in the village, making our way inside. We are still wanted in Konoha after all. Even though, there's a war currently going on right now. After a couple of walks inside, I saw Sasuke jumped and I decided to follow him, jumping as well and landing on a high platform, making the whole village visible no matter where we look at. The Hokage monument was up there, with 5 faces belonging from the first Hokage up to the 5th Hokage. Naruto, the place has changed quite a lot, huh? I heard Sasuke mutter under his breath as he spoke clearly. He's being sentimental since he will probably be making his decision after we get our answers from the Hokages. Yeah, indeed it has. I replied as I think about what would I do the moment I get my answers. I don't have any attachment to the place anymore. Scene break. We arrived at the Naka shrine belonging to the Uchiha clan, though the place was already wrecked and destroyed from Pain's invasion, only a stone door was visible as Sasuke used a jutsu to open the door. Only Uchiha would probably be able to open that. Stone stairs were revealed, making its way downwards, clearly underground where the tablet of Uchiha was located. After arriving at the stone monument, Orochimaru spoke loudly, making his words echo in the small room located underground. I will start. Stay back. The moment Orochimaru wore the Shinigami mask, we saw Orochimaru being shrouded by a dark chakra and felt the intensity it held. Gwa! Orochimaru screamed from the sudden possession of the Shinigami as he held out both of his arms. The Shinigami manifested behind him as we saw the Shinigami had its blade in its right hand, cutting its stomach. The soul sealed inside the stomach was released along with Orochimaru's arms. When Orochimaru recovered his arms, Jugo immediately placed his hand at Sasuke, releasing the 6 Zetsu which was inside of Sasuke's body. I rushed forward, binding the 6 Zetsu with my seals, making them halt in their movement, completely stiff. Orochimaru said that he has DNA from the past Hokages. He used 4 of the Zetsus as sacrifices so the souls would have a body to inhabit. He made numerous hand seals before he slammed his hand towards the seal he drew in the floor. Kuchiyos. Edo Tensai. After that, he bolted out of his old body which was bleeding huge amount of blood and used one of the Zetsus as a new one. The 4 Zetsus right now were screaming in pain as the 4 Hokages started to form in their bodies. I was just standing in there, waiting for the 4 Hokages to appear along with Sasuke who wants answers. Orochimaru chuckled darkly as he spoke. The people who know everything. The previous Hokages. He introduced the 4 of them even though we already knew who they were. There stood the Shodaime, Hashirama Senju, the Nadaime, Tobirama Senju, the Sandaime, Hiruzen Sarutobi, lastly, my father, the Yondaime, Minato Namikaze. We just stood there, waiting for someone to break the moment of silence. Unexpectedly, it was Suigetsu who spoke. The first Hokage, the man who was said to be the god of shinobi, Hashirama Senju. Suigetsu pointed at Hashirama's direction who looked back at him. I saw a confused expression plastered on the Hokage's faces. They were probably wondering as to how they were revived again. They all observed their surroundings and saw Orochimaru. Tobirama spoke in disdain when he glared at Orochimaru. This Orochimaru guy again. What do you mean? Hashirama asked his brother when it was the Sandaime who replied. He probably removed the seal of the Shiki Fujin that was trapping us and he used the Edo Tensai. He spoke grimly as he answered Hashirama. He looked at the whole group and I saw a slight recognition on his expression when he saw me. He was gaping in disbelief the moment he saw me. He was obviously not expecting me being with Orochimaru. Naruto, why are you with Orochimaru? He asked. But I did not answer. My father was looking at me, wide-eyed when he heard the Sandaime question me. You're Naruto. I just responded with a simple nod. I don't know how to respond to my father who was talking to me right now, so I just gave a simple nod. I glanced at Sasuke, who was just watching right now with an unreadable expression. I know that what he wants right now was answers, but it seems that he's willing to let me go first. Though, I think he also wants to know about my past. The Sandaime tried to press on, quite agitated that I ignored his question, but before he could ask, my father was the one who gave a statement. You're so big now, I only saw you when you were a newborn. My father exclaimed with a happy expression on his face, in which I saw the Sandaime only grimaced, probably because the talk about how I was treated in Konoha will come. My father continued, trying to contain his excitement as he asked a few questions at me. Did you learn the Rasengan, spiraling sphere? After seeing my nod, he asked. Did you complete it then? I gave a reluctant nod. I don't really want to give out what kind of techniques I learned, but it was my father who created it, so as a part of thanks, I just gave another nod. Amazing. You really are my son. He just moved towards me as he smiled cheerfully at me before ruffling my hair in an affectionate manner. If my mind was still the same as before, the one longing for affections and love, I would have probably start crying and respond with a hug. But I've already come into terms with my ideals and beliefs. I've come far with this, and I'd be damned to hell before I throw them away just because of a simple affectionate action. The ruffle of hair was stopped when Hashirama looked at my father before asking. Who are you? Hashirama asked with a curiosity-filled voice. My father just turned his back, revealing a kanji of fourth. The fourth Hokage. Oh, a fourth. Hashirama said in glee, which made us stand in silence. Honestly, I expected more from first Hokage. I somehow expected him to be stern, serious, even strict, because it was obvious that the first Hokage should be the one to show promise, not idiocy. Granted, I'm like that before. Though, I did not expect a happy-go-lucky person in front of me. He knows that he's being controlled by Orochimaru, yet he's not even taking it seriously. So the village has been stable for a long time. He just spoke sagely without even an ounce of worry and all. If he's a censor like the books say, shouldn't he already feel that there is a war going on right now? I'm not really sure whether the village is stable or not. I actually died before the third died and was sealed. My father just rubbed the back of his head as he chuckled sheepishly. Really? So you weren't sealed with Sarutobi? Hashirama asked. Yes. It's a different case actually. My father just closed his eyes as he smiled at Hashirama. Who's the fifth, then? He asked us, hoping for an answer to come. It was Orochimaru who replied. Your granddaughter, Princess Tsunade. When Hashirama heard that, he slumped his shoulders as his mood suddenly darkens. Suna, is the village all right? He muttered loudly, a tone of worry was coating his voice. Are you worried? Hashirama's mood changed from the dark one to a bright and cheerful one. He laughed in joy as he spoke. I really spoiled her. She even learned gambling from me. Ha 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 ha. Really? This laid-back man is the first Hokage who was supposed to be the god of shinobi. He's really different from what I thought. Edo Tensei again? Tobirama asked in disbelief as Orochimaru replied. It wasn't that much of a complicated jutsu after all. Even your political measures and the jutsus you invented create too many troubles afterward. Orochimaru smiled as he answered Tobirama. I heard Hashirama gave a tired sigh as he placed his left hand on his temple. Ha! The world is always fighting, no matter what. He continued as he pointed a finger at his brother. Tobirama, that's why I told you. Be quiet, brother. He chided Hashirama, who tried to retort back. And was interrupted. Silence. Tobirama stared at his brother with an unwavering gaze. Hashirama's mood began to darken again and he slumped his shoulders in defeat. Orochimaru just spread out his arms before replying back at Tobirama. I'm not planning on attacking Leaf. That's why I'm not even blocking your personalities. He moved towards mine and Sasuke's direction as he continued. This time, I simply wanted to create a moment for the both of these two boys to have their questions answered. He motioned his hand at the both of us. Sneaking a quick glance on Sasuke, who was just there with an unreadable expression, seeing that Sasuke wanted me to ask first, I started on asking. I am Naruto Namikaze. And all I want to know is why did you proclaim me as a Jinchuriki when I was not, father? Why did my sister and mother left me alone in Konoha, making me suffer in the mental and physical pain I received from the villagers? I spoke coldly as I spat the word father like poison, barely containing my anger when I recalled that he abandoned me along with mother and my sister. What do you mean you suffered? Didn't the Sandame tell you the truth? He asked with a somehow surprised and confused expression plastering on his face. I can see the Sandame shifting nervously who was besides the other Hokages. No, he never spoke a word. I answered as I held onto my stoic demeanor. My emotionless facade was starting to break from my barely contained hostility, but Sasuke just patted me on the shoulder. Making me calm down, I gave a silent thanks at Sasuke who just nodded at me. My father glared at the Sandame before asking with displeasure on his voice. What's the meaning of this, Sarutobi? The Sandame just replied nervously before retorting back. You don't understand, Minato. If I told him, he would have just spoken that his family is actually alive. I told you to tell him about his parents and what we have planned to do the moment he can form coherent thoughts. You don't have the right to ignore that, he stated harshly at the Sandame. I interrupted their talk, asking about the plan my father mentioned. Care to enlighten me about that plan of yours? I asked at my father who was still angry at the Sandame. Yeah, since you don't know what actually happened at that time, you see, your sister was born 3 years earlier than you. And when she reached the age of 3, she can already manifest chakra chains just as durable and just as strong as the one your mother creates. So while both I and your mother were happy for her, I already formulated a plan inside my mind to seal the Kyuubi inside her should it escape from Kushina since she was pregnant with you. And I copied the seals that the Uzumaki used on your mother when she became a Jinchuriki. But it was a very intricate seal that probably takes a lot of time to be used. So when the masked man attacked Konoha and released the Kyuubi that was inside of your mother the time you were born, I fought and released the hold of the masked man on the Kyuubi. I told you that I was planning on sealing the Kyuubi in your sister, but since I can't use the seal used on your mother since it takes a lot of time, and I don't want Konoha to be destroyed, I settled for the faster method. I sealed the Kyuubi in your sister using the Shiki Fujin. After that, I still had probably a couple of seconds before my soul gets taken by the Shinigami. I used a genjutsu on the Sandame and your mother to show them what I was planning. My plan was for Sarutobi to announce you had taken the mantle of being a Jinchuriki, but he should have proclaimed you as Konoha's hero as well. As for why, it because people will obviously ask what became of the Kyuubi. Then the masked man would take notice of you, thinking that you are the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. When in truth it was sealed in your sister who would be trained by your mother to control the chakra of the Kyuubi to fight him in the future. They would leave Konoha to train while the masked man thought of you as a Jinchuriki. And they would be announced as dead. Though, convincing Kushina was actually hard. He didn't want to leave you alone. But it was needed if we want to defeat the masked man. So she accepted. Since the masked man was planning on gathering the Biju and based on what Jiraiya and I knew from Jiraiya's spy network, there was a group having a clear intent of collecting the Biju. It also connected when the masked man said that he was planning on taking the Kyuubi. So, he would be delayed should he capture you. And since the world thought of you as a Jinchuriki, Konoha would obviously never release their hold of you, seeing that you're their weapon. As a bonus, you would be trained, and when your sister came back, you, who were trained early, and your sister who was trained to control the Kyuubi's chakra. The two of you would fight against the masked man's level the next time he tries to take back the Kyuubi. Also, at the moment you could form coherent thoughts, Sarutobi was supposed to tell you the truth. But it was obvious that he didn't do so. My father finished his explanation that just left me standing there in silence. My assumption was actually correct. By announcing me as a Jinchuriki, the Akatsuki would continue hunting me, when in truth, I didn't actually have it. They would be delayed and my sister would continue on training until she can fight on the Akatsuki's level. All in all, it was a sound plan. No one would actually think that I had a family if they were to be proclaimed as dead. That left me hanging there with my mind, hearing his words echoing in my mind. My thoughts were completely stopped when I heard a smart comment coming from Suigetsu. Wow, you have one crazy father, haven't you, Blondie? I stopped myself from retorting back, but he continued. It was a good plan. Spoken like a true shinobi. He smiled mockingly towards my father. To prove his point, he even made a mocking sound like, nin nin, while making a seal of confrontation. He asked me, did he really think that you would just accept that? Suigetsu grinned, showing his sharpened shark-like teeth. While I really wanted to reply at his question, I ignored him and started to stare at my father. I see. I just stated at my father while I look at him blankly. I can see a somehow nervous expression marring his face as he realized the words he just said. While the plan may sound good and it was actually good, he should have taken in of account how the people needed on his plan would feel towards it. No one would just accept after being said that they were bait for a group filled with nothing but S-rank shinobis, especially if they were just a child. I saw Hashirama having a shocked look on his face, obviously when my father just stated to use me as bait against people who were targeting the Biju. From what I saw of him, I can tell that he's a compassionate person that values friends, comrades, and family. So, a face of disbelief would be just appropriate when he heard what my father planned for me. Tobarama had an appraising look at my father before giving me a calculative look. He was probably wondering on whether I played my part on father's plan. The Sandame was just there standing, but I don't really care. He didn't even bother to tell me about my parents, so why should I? My father had a pleading look in his face as he stared at me. I can see that he was thinking about what to say in this situation. He started to speak as he gave a look of a person who wants to be forgiven. I know that it was too much of a task for a child, but you have to understand, Naruto. The masked man would be a threat if they would be left alone, so I created this plan. And if you had any assumption that I do not love you, you're wrong. I love you, just like how your mother and your sister does. That's why we need to make hard decisions for our loved ones. If we had let the masked man alone, then he would have threatened your mother and sister since they hold the Kyuubi. So please, Naruto, understand. He just looked at me with a pleading stare boring on my very eyes. Don't worry, father. As a shinobi myself, I understand. I wore an unreadable face at my father, who has now an expression of relief on his face. Of course I understand. He was a Hokage, so he had to do what he needs to do. I respect his decision as a shinobi. No doubt it was a good plan to trick the masked man into thinking that I was a Jinchuriki. But I continued. However, as your child, I don't. So do not think that we will still be able to bond like father and son, or even as a parent or child. As his child, I do not respect that decision. Someone who just used a child like that, especially their own child, my anger towards him only grew larger and larger, but thanks to my training as a sage who would control the nature energy, which not only contained the essence of the nature, but also its emotions, I held on and controlled my anger. Naru, my father tried to speak as he called out on me, but I just turned my back at him and started making my way towards the underground stairs. Sasuke, who saw my face, just only nodded solemnly at me as I continued walking upwards from the stairs. Kukuku, I heard Orochimaru chuckling ominously as I got outside of the hidden room in the underground of the Naka shrine. It was Sasuke's turn now, so me being there would only hinder the questions he had. Flashback end. Right now, I should gather information as much as I could, being stranded in a new dimension with a different culture, and possibly different language, will make this hard for me. My completely stilled body, which was currently purifying the tainted energy lingering in this place, just finished doing so. I stood up, and decided to make a single hand sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique. With a poof of smoke, 4 clones appeared in front of me as I ordered them. Guys, find any information you could get, especially information about other beings besides human. It might be possible for this place to have other beings besides mankind. After you guys think you found enough information, just disappear in a poof. Though, be subtle and try not to be noticed by anyone, if possible. The clones only answer in a simple hand sign followed by their disappearance in a swirl of leaves. I'm not really sure whether this dimension has demons like the Biju or the Satori, but it's better to be prepared. What I need the most right now is information in this place before trying to settle down. After that, I started to relax when I remembered. Shit. I forgot to lower my presence and aura. The other people would have felt my massive energy circulating in this forest. A huge energy like mine won't probably go unnoticed. I need to leave this vicinity as soon as possible. After taking a quick glance and a quick absorption of the nature energy in this forest, whether the place is already purified, I immediately bolted out of the forest as I made my presence diluted and became one with nature. A few minutes later, a man with blonde and black streaks adorning his hair was currently taking a walk in the forest where he felt the sudden burst of pure energy was earlier. The moment he stepped foot on the forest, he immediately adopted a discerning mind when he felt that the forest was somehow clean and purer than it was before. He didn't know why, but the pure energy that was bursting earlier was now circulating around the whole forest, as if the energy was maintaining the forest's cleanliness. The energy that was lingering in the place was so warm and calming to the point where he gave a relaxed sigh and just wanted to go to sleep. The energy was so pure it felt like the forest was welcoming anyone in its embrace. He drove away those lazy thoughts as he spoke out loud to no one. Someone did this. Probably one who can use senjutsu. What I want to know is how. He trailed off as he left the forest with a calm mind and a relaxed posture. A petite black-haired girl appeared a couple of seconds later after the yellow-haired man left. The girl glanced in every nook and cranny of the forest, trying to find the familiar feeling from earlier. Ah, I could feel it. The gap. She spoke in a monotone voice at no one in particular. She just felt the feeling of the dimensional gap oozing in the forest, but she didn't know why. She just went there when she felt the familiar presence of her home. A man with yellow hair watching above the clouds was pondering on his thoughts as he felt the burst of clean energy from the forest which was in the territory of the devils. When he took a glance below, he saw the blonde-haired man which he deduced as Azazel left the place, and after a couple of seconds, what he saw nearly made him faint. The dragon god Ophis was observing the place where the clean energy was. And nothing good comes when the dragon god took notice of something. Only destruction and chaos comes next, and his thoughts earlier about the pure energy disappeared, only to be replaced by the havoc that would happen now that he saw the dragon god. Ajuka Beelzebub, who was chatting with Seer's Lucifer, was disturbed when he heard a beeping alarm happening. When one of his people said that there was some news that was needed for him. When he read the report, the contents it contained made him blink twice. The report stated that there was a forest in Kuo that suddenly released a large burst of energy. The place was seen to be visited by the governor of fallen angels, Azazel, and the dragon god, Ophis. This is, Ajuka heard a voice behind him, indicating that Seerzek sneaked a peek at the report he just received. Yeah, there was a sudden surge of energy in your sister's territory. And if the report that Azazel and Ophis were really true, then it means that there is a new power lurking out there, and if it grabbed the dragon god's attention, it's something big. Unknown to Naruto, the moment he traversed the new dimension, his very presence already broke the balance of the world with his appearance. It would only be soon before he is sought by those who want his power.